a man who is touching $1 billion in net worth. They call him the hidden hand behind the market.
You could take everything from me except my knowledge, and I will do it all again. And I don't mind that. That doesn't scare me. I'm happy to do that tomorrow if I had to. But the willingness to do it, a lot of people, they don't have that. They make it, they get good, they make 1 or 2 million, they're like, cool, I'm cushy, that's it. But then put something in front of them, adversity, and they don't have the will to do it again, they shouldn't have done it in the first place.
There's not many people that make $1 million in a year, but there's even less people that spend $1 million on a trip to Dubai. Introducing Owen Morton. We talk about how he manages a team of hundreds, how he has so many projects, and the things he has noticed between traders, what it takes to be a profitable trader, and what it takes to really excel and grow in this industry after he has generated hundreds of millions of dollars from the trading space.
Every single day I try to learn something. Every single day, regardless of what it is, I still try to learn something. And if you stop doing that, how can you achieve anything? Because if you have a problem, you don't know how to, let's say, research a solution to the problem, you're going to fail ultimately. We've lost in the fiat realm. We've had payment processors that stop. We've had to wait 180 days for Stripe to give money. I took those risks and I sacrificed obviously that time and that effort and that stress. But imagine if I just said, okay, do you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go get a job. Then none of this could potentially be here.
In the prop space, what I see is it's a price war and everyone's trying to get cheaper and cheaper. And that for me screams red flag because it's non-sustainability and we see the backlash of it with certain firms going down. What kind of conditions are the ones that as a user we should be like, don't skip on a firm just because they have this rule in place? What would those rules be? Ladies and gents, welcome back to another episode. I'm joined by some moguls today. Now, this show is, as you've seen, it's a mix of traders, a lot of traders and entrepreneurs. Well, we got a perfect marriage here today with the gentlemen in front of me, Owen and Luca. We have entrepreneurs and moguls in the trading space. So, gents, thank you for joining me today.
Good to be here. Thank you.
You've flown in from Malta.
Malta.
Okay, and it seems like you're loving Dubai. You do it big, the private jets, the Royal Atlantis. I'm seeing how you guys are rolling. So there must be some magical stories behind how you're able to live that kind of life. So let's jump into it briefly. I know you're fully integrated in the trading space, but that is crypto, payments, Forex, and everything I could think of you guys are doing. So if we could give a brief summary on what the mogul life is like.
Yeah, okay. So today we pretty much are involved everything end to end. So as a trader, whatever you interact with as a trader, we typically have a business, a company, a system or product for that. That's what we started. That's what we started to achieve many, many years ago. We have achieved a certain level of it. We still have a little bit to go, but our key focus right now is one of the biggest projects that we've ever undertook, which is TradeLocker. And that is probably the most interesting point for obviously traders when they trade.
So I want to run through a list just so people get a reference of the magnitude. So when I say prop firm, yes.
Yes.
When I say brokerage?
Yes.
Yes. When I say journaling?
No, we partnered with obviously one of the best.
Yes. Payment processing in crypto? Yes. What other major areas within the space are you in? Because I see you have A-book liquidity.
The entire value chain.
Okay.
The entire value chain, we have some touch point. And if we don't, then we partner with very, very strong industry leaders.
It seems very overwhelming. How do you operate so many people, so many things, and probably you have a favorite that you like to work on, or is that TradeLocker?
Well, right now, a lot of my energy, a lot of Luca's energy is on TradeLocker. That's because it's an important growth area for us. Obviously, for the sustainability and the longevity of our current business and ecosystem, it is working towards creating a great trading product. Everybody needs it. If you're a broker with us, you need it. If you're a prop with us, you need it as well. So that is a huge focus right now. But how you manage and how you control that is obviously by hiring key individuals that you trust and they'll take care of it. But in the beginning, you start a project, you need to be on it. So back in the early days, it would have been, again, very much me on that particular project, like let's say the Forex CRM, or when we first started with prop well over 2 years ago, it was me very, very focused on it, me and the team. But then you move on. And now I'm fully on TradeLocker, pretty much. Okay.
So we've had obviously the episode with Riz, which I'm sure many of you have seen, but for a brief life story, because it's an interesting one. And I like how the dots connect to TradeLocker and the recent projects. Because if you didn't have the experience in the web development, it wouldn't have connected, or acquiring customers, CRM wouldn't have connected. So it's like a wonderful coincidence or a chain of events that have arrived to this point of TradeLocker. So we're going to have a brief summary of that journey.
Yeah, okay. So many years ago, I obviously was working in hospitality, but then I focused on learning how to create websites for customers. So making their business website, let's say it was a bar or a restaurant or a gym. And in that journey, we connected with my cousin who was a trader, and we started developing a project for him, which was selling bots. That led us to think, okay, there's a bigger picture here. Who's making a lot of money in this business? And ultimately it was the broker. But you can't just tomorrow open up a broker if you've no capital, no resources, or no understanding of how it works. So we went down to all of these conferences and we figured out that there was one piece that we could make simple, which was the traders room, the back office, the CRM. So we spent all of our energy and focus on creating a super simple one. We managed to get one client to use it, and that was our connection and our big entry into the space. And from there, we white labeled, we developed. But what we did nearly every couple of months, we looked at who we were paying, who was our key suppliers. So throughout the journey, we realized that we were paying payment providers. We were paying, Medicoats. We were paying KYC operators. We were paying affiliate systems. We were paying all these other companies, and we slowly started to build those pieces of the technology ourselves and bolted it in as a turnkey solution. So you could come to us, and eventually, after maybe 4 or 5 years, we ended up with the full solution end to end for the broker space.
So it was kind of like when a problem arises, instead of outsourcing it, you want to knock it down and do it yourself.
Yeah, but it's more like there's two types of people. People get cancelled, or people don't have a payment provider because it got stopped. They go to Google and they search for another one. What we like to do is try build it and offer it. Instead of going to Google and searching for an alternative, we want to create that sustainability, and we want to create that security for ourselves, obviously in our business. And if we can do it for ourselves, we can offer it then for others, because they have the same problem.
So out of the dozens and dozens of prop firms that exist in the whole space, who can we really trust? Whether they use slippage, whether they use types of drawdown, unrealistic trading conditions, every single prop firm has hidden tricks. So after thorough research and speaking to a lot of traders, Alpha Capital is definitely the best prop firm in the space. So apart from their no commissions, low spread, no slippage, great reputation, never denying a payout, because you are a Titans of Tomorrow viewer, you get a special discount on every evaluation just using the link or using the code TOT for Titans of Tomorrow. This kind of thinking, like anyone that starts a business and works for, they're like, okay, I would love to have everything in-house. And then everything's controlled, everything's the way I want it, custom made, beautiful in theory. But the actuality of this as well, you need a lot of resources, time, talent, access to the right, there's so many moving parts that makes it just not a realistic feat. How are you able to, you're a website guy and now you want to make a payment processor. How do those dots connect?
So in the very, very beginning, we outsourced it. Obviously, we rented the product, we rented the solution, and we learned. And in some cases, like even till today, we do not have our own KYC. Okay. And after all of these years of KYCing many, many millions of traders, we still outsource that because it's very, very intricate. It's there's a lot of things that we are not aware of, so we rent that. But when we get to the stage where we understand the ins and outs, like full detail, then we will actually launch the product. And we've obviously got the capital and the resources and the intelligence to do it. But until you have that, I would say definitely rent the product, learn everything about it, and then get stuck in and try fix it for yourself.
Does that speak to how you are as a person in terms of you're so keen to learn as much as you can from everything and everyone?
Every day. Like I put up a story the other day about I was trying to do some stuff on TradeLocker with this new robot that we have, and I was listening to Bernd, who obviously is a very, very successful trader, and I was learning something simple from him. And someone questioned me, why are you listening to that? And my answer was simple. Every single day I try to learn something. Every single day, regardless of what it is, I still try to learn something. And if you stop doing that, how can you achieve anything? Because if you have a problem and you don't know how to, let's say, research a solution to the problem, you're going to fail ultimately.
When I see guys doing big things, big projects at a young age, it obviously speaks to, for what a lot of people see the lifestyle and they're like, oh, amazing, good for them. What I usually focus on and think about is the sacrifices they made, the process in terms of how much did they have to learn, how much did they have to spend, invest, lose.
Yeah.
What does that non-glamorous side look like that is not on your Instagram feed in the same way?
Yeah. So in order for us to have built a crypto gateway, we've lost in the fiat realm. We've had payment processors that stopped. We've had to wait 180 days for Stripe to give money. We've had to have all those pain points. So we've done all that. Way back when I took debt very, very early on. Now I'm an advocate of not having too much debt. And for me, I don't have any. But back then I was like not able to sleep. I was getting sick in the morning because I had this debt, and it was only 60 or 70K in very, very early days. But I did that in order to be able to get to where I am. I put that money into developing the first CRM, the first traders room, the first idea, the first concept. I took those risks and I sacrificed obviously that time and that effort and that stress. But if I didn't do that, imagine if I just said, okay, do you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go get a job. Then none of this could potentially be here. It could just be nothing. There'd be no TradeLocker today, But sleepless nights, a lot of time spent in the office. I remember like literally working shifts with my cousin and my brother. I would do tickets for a certain period of time, sleep, get up, and then do support because we couldn't afford to have a full support team. This is what it means to literally be where I am, to be able to go and do what I do, and to be able to have what I have, to fly to Dubai, do 15 meetings and stay in the Atlantis. I had to do all that.
As an entrepreneur, which you are, and running multiple businesses across an industry, there could be particular traits that I could assume you have. But is there one that stands out to you? Because I could just so you see my line of thinking, kind of like a Swiss Army knife. You got to be good at everything. It could also be an extremely high stress tolerance because you could have also started to relax many millions ago. What is it that is a key trait in you that kept you going and the ability to achieve that you have?
I think the willingness to do it again. So no matter what happens, I've failed many, many times, 4 really, really key failures, but the willingness to just start again. You could take everything from me except my knowledge. Don't take that. And I will do it all again. And I don't mind that. That doesn't scare me. I'm happy to do that tomorrow if I had to. But the willingness to do it, a lot of people, they don't have that. They make it, they get good, they make 1 or 2 million, they're like, cool, I'm cushy, that's it. But then put something in front of them, adversity, and they don't have the will to do it again, they shouldn't have done it in the first place. You know? So I think that's a huge thing for me. And I do have a high stress tolerance.
I think that's a common thing I've noted between high achievers. Now, coming into more recent projects, they seem more liquidity intensive. Does that happen through taking on investors, or is it always self-funded?
No, just the family.
Okay. Yeah. Everything is in-house.
Everything with us. Now, like we will, as we expand and grow, we could look elsewhere for outside capital. But to date, no, it's always been us. We pride ourselves in making something and literally putting everything back into R&D as far and as much as we need to in order for it to be suitable. Like even just on the prop, haven't taken anything out of it for myself, even though I could. Okay. I haven't. There's no point. I'm putting everything back in with my business partners to make sure that our offering, because it is also a white label offering, is good for everybody. So when you see a new feature, a new rollout, a new button, a new way the system works, that's our money that we should be taking out, putting back into R&D. Okay. And then everybody else gets the benefit of that.
Are you still actively and aggressively in the prop space as you maybe were a few years ago?
Absolutely. Every single day. The last couple of, let's say, weeks has been more phone calls from people saying,
needing help.
We want to do this. We like what you've done there. Can we understand what real funds is? What's that mean for the business line, the bottom line, all these different things? And we will share those pieces of advice. So if anybody's out there, feel free to reach out.
So that's how I came across you, actually. I kept hearing your name around. It's like, I'm just partnering with Owen for this. I'm just partnering with Owen for that. I just spoke to Owen about this. He might help me. I was like, who is Owen? What does he do? And then when I ask you, what do you do? You're like, well, what don't I do is the answer.
What I like to do is if someone wants to get some information or they want to learn something or they want to try figure out how we can work, the best thing to do is just start having interactions. So come meet, chat like this, go for a coffee, go for a lunch. We mightn't do business that day, but in 6 months you might remember something I've said. And then you'd be like, do you know what? I know the person for that job. I'm not looking to get you today or to work with you now. It's about that exchange, to make sure that we understand that you have value, I have value, and we have something to offer. Maybe not right now, but in time. And we said nearly 2 years ago about real funds. And everybody thought, nah, way, that's a joke, don't do it. And now we're getting hit up every day to figure it out.
Okay, so I've been hearing about this as like a buzzword in the space of real funds, a book. And although on social media it seems glamorous, as a outside viewer, for me, it doesn't really make too much sense. Because I know a few of the founders of prop firms, and I've always asked them, why don't you sell the data? Can you sell the data? Because you have reverse trading opportunities or whatever. And they've always said it's just impossible to sell, and so many of them have tried. And the reason they say that is because you can't stop a trader one day waking up and deciding to gamble their max daily loss.
Yep.
And they've seen it so many times where a trader will trade sensibly the whole evaluation, maybe the first week, 2 week, but the moment they get a payout, their personality changes, and that risk of ruin, no one really makes it to payout 3. So they're like, that data therefore doesn't become usable. So therefore, if you're putting now real investors or real capital behind it, how does that work?
Well, our rules and the way we're structured is a little bit, probably a good bit different to many of the prop firms. But we're just in it for, obviously, the idea that we want to create longevity. We want to create a lot of opportunity for traders. We also have a challenge that is a little bit harder. So the people that do get through should have a little bit more understanding about risk management, understand that there is this element of trying to get this longevity out of it. We have people taking, 11, 10, 12, 13 payouts. One guy has 22 payouts.
Okay.
And it's obviously instant. Whenever you want, you can get your payout. We're not in it for, too much glamour or any of that. We want to create a good product. We want to create longevity. We want to create successful traders. And that's why we're set up in our way.
So when it comes to real capital A book funds, let's say I go for a 100K evaluation and I pass it and everything checks out. Will you now put me on 100K directly live capital, or will it be a scaling?
No, what you buy, you will get. And we'll scale after that, obviously. Up.
Okay. And I, as a trader for 8 years who passed it, and a guy who's just trading 6 months and just passed the same criteria, it would be equally weighed.
Yeah.
Does that not feel scary to you?
No.
Why?
Well, just asked and answered. It just doesn't.
Okay.
If we have the economy of scale and the unit economics, which we do, and we're growing, it'll work out. It's working out now. Why don't you take a challenge? I
will. I think it would be cool. For me, like if I was thinking, if I gave someone $1 million and they had to go through, how long would the evaluation be? It's aligned with the industry standards.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, yeah, because I see it all the time, and the data that we've seen is like majority of traders never make it to payout 3. So I know if I put $1 million in there, the likelihood of me getting more than $1 million back is not really there, unless you have very strict criterias and risk parameters or scaling capital or something like that. But I'm seeing a lot of people head towards your way, and certain prop firms that
there's
are
even more coming. There's in our pipeline, there's so many more coming, and names that you'd be like, I'm surprised they did that.
I've been hearing whispers behind the scenes, yes, and yet to be launched. So what is the maximum cap of capital that can be provided in terms of a book?
I think our top is 5 million. If you
I mean as in a pool between all traders and all the guys you're collabing with. What does that pool of liquidity look like?
A lot.
Okay.
Don't want to give any numbers, but a lot.
Fair enough. As in the pockets are deep enough to cover payouts and losses and whatever. Fair enough.
Absolutely.
When it comes to the prop side,
just one thing about the A book thing that people fail to realize: if I put up 10 million in capital and that's out there, the max drawdown is 10%. That is my ultimate risk.
Yes.
But the sales are obviously...
And is it leveraged or it's 1-to-1?
With the LPs, it could be leveraged.
Okay.
But realistically, you need to treat that on your balance sheet as almost like an account, a bank account. At any moment, you could turn around to like FunderPro today. We could say, we're stopping all sales. Let these traders run off. Everything's fine. They'll finish they'll either make their payouts or they'll say, or they won't. And then we just withdraw the rest of the capital.
I get what you mean. It's not a case of someone's going to blow 100K. Your maximum exposure is calculated.
They can't run through all of the liquidity that's been provided. It's impossible to run through. It stops. When they have their drawdown, they hit it stops. And then that capital is there, and then the business adds. So the 100K, 10%, they add the 10K, and now I have 100K again to give to another trader. But then I have 10% potential drawdown. But think about it. The upside is obviously unlimited. There's no downside, because if they're profitable, which we've had a lot of profitable traders, that's a lot of payouts.
It's usually disproportionate returns compared to the market, 8%, 7%.
That's what unfortunately bites firms. They can't manage that. They only have, let's say, 1 month's payouts in reserves if everything stopped.
Which we saw with the backlash when the migration issues happened. Is 1 month took out the biggest firms.
So with our model, that can never happen.
As a trader, it's very simple. You have to find an edge, and then you have to have a mind so you can follow that edge. But how do you know if you're performing correctly or not? You have to know your data. And TradeZeller is going to show you everything that you need beyond the surface level win rates and performance and equity curve. It's going to show you detailed reports. It's going to be your back testing tool, strategy testing tool, playbooks, notes, and it's going to be a full journal. It makes your journaling easier, faster, and more meaningful. Whereas if you were just documenting it on an Excel spreadsheet or taking screenshots on your iPhone, you wouldn't be able to pull out the data that you need, the correlations that the AI within TradeZeller is pulling out for you. There's so much variety and utility within the software that I think it's essential for any trader. So the link somewhere below is going to take you directly to the TradeZeller website. I'm not getting paid. This is for you. If you want it, if you like it, go ahead and explore it, and probably you'll be using it for years to come. When it comes to the knowing your personalities, you like to immerse yourself in an industry, immerse yourself in a specific problem, and then you see new problems arise. And what I've seen in the lifespan of prop firm spaces is everything has changed from it used to be 10% in 30 days to now no time limit, 8%, 6%. Rules have changed. Everything has changed. Even platforms now are changing. So in that time span that you've been involved, what have you actively tried to resolve, or what were the major issues that you're doing different compared to the competitors?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we've tried to resolve is a trading platform for prop firms. So we'll obviously need Luca to talk a little bit about that. But we obviously, as a white label provider as well, just trying to get a product that is suitable for a variety of different people. So there's people that can bring in users through ads. There's people that bring in users from education, from journaling, from YouTube, from Instagram, from TikTok. They all are kind of looking for different things. And one thing that we constantly had to do was fight ourselves in trying to offer we will do that. We will make that button. We will make that feature. We will change that look. We said no to all of that. We tried create a bit of a framework that through this structure, if you do this with your prop firm, you should have longevity. So make the rules like this. Don't do anything fancy. You might think it's important today, but realistically, nobody else wants that. You just think it's great for now. But if we do this type of structure with this framework, you will last. You know, so we tried to make something that wasn't paint by numbers or cookie cutter, but that would make sure that you, as an entrepreneur and a businessman or business person, would survive. Because all of this fancy stuff, that also is a big failure point for all of these guys.
Well, what I see as a major issue, I'm not involved in the prop service. What I see is it's a price war, and everyone's trying to get cheaper and cheaper, and there's no benefit in being second cheapest. So what do they do? Undercut. And we've seen how everything has changed and the model has changed. And that for me screams red flag, because it's non-sustainability, and we see the backlash of it with certain firms going down. What would you say are, for us as a consumer, prop firms that are healthy, making good profit is what we want, because then we know they're going to survive and they can keep paying out. What kind of conditions, as you were saying, are the ones that as a user we should be like, or the viewers, like, don't skip on a firm just because they have this rule in place, because that rule is there for longevity? What would those rules be?
Well, I to be honest with you, I don't know what exactly they will, because even our rules, we changed and modified our consistency rule. And this is what happens in a new industry. You walk another meter, you walk another 2 meters, something else changes, something else happens. We don't know about regulation. We don't know if there's going to be a change in how Google want ads to be done. We none of us know right now, right? But what as a consumer, don't like, okay, your pocket is obviously what you can afford. So you're thinking about your money, but price isn't the only thing. That should probably be the last thing. You should look at other things, like who is promoting this business, and go in depth about those people. Like, look at the affiliates of that company. Look at the owners of that company. Why is the affiliates important as a consumer? I think there's two different types of affiliates. People that are just out it for the money, and then there's ones that you know that if they choose something, it means that they've done big research. And there's a handful, and if let's say those handful of individuals have chosen a firm, it's for a reason, you know, unless they go completely like blinders on or whatever like that, which obviously happens and can happen. But usually if you can look through the people that are promoting this that aren't direct owners,
it's a good mirror of the,
because usually someone that's good and that thinks about that and wants longevity for themselves, they're not going to mess with some bullshit, you know?
Now, the traits I'm seeing in you, which is problem arises, find a solution, and it's 1 meter at a time. That's exactly what just happened not too long ago with Medco's deciding we don't want to work with anyone, bar a few. And before we get into it, do you know why? Why did they wake up one day and think scrap every prop firm?
I have a relationship with Medco's, and we have a South African broker. Can I say the name or no?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so South African broker, it's called NextTrade, nexttrade.com. We have an MT5 license, and we have TradeLocker side by side. They operate, and it's very, very nice. They have new rules, and we have to live under those new rules. So as a company, we can't understand why. But if I was them, I would be thinking, okay, I have all of these licenses that are for brokers, and now all of a sudden they're making money on something that we don't typically charge for. I don't like that. Maybe that could have been. Are
they getting paid a flat license fee, or is it per user?
No, it's a flat license fee.
So Medico is thinking we've hosted an extra millions of traders, but not got paid for it.
The company itself would host, so they would have to scale and eat all that cost. It's not really about that. It's just about you're using the product for a different reason, and it's creating a lot of potential problems for that company.
Were they getting regulatory issues?
Who knows?
Oh, we don't know. Okay.
It's like literally, they're a private company. We don't know any more information than you know. Everything is hypothetical, you know. But I've been given those letters. I've had nearly 50 plus white labels get closed off. You know, that's a big shift in a business. You know, but before all of that happened, we got one letter. we're closing that particular business. And that was the day that we decided not to go to Google and look for an alternative. We said, okay, let's put something that we know will work. And yes, small bit of downtime. Some bugs arise. It's a new piece of technology. But in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years time, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be like fantastic. Today is the worst trade locker will ever be, to use Luca's words.
So for context, what happened was Metzicos decided they're a private company as they wish, but they delisted every prop firm by proxy because prop firms were using brokers. So it wasn't attack on prop firms. It was let's cut this behavior. It left majority of prop firms scrambling. They were like, okay, how do we now access the brokerage? Which is also a question for me. Why does a simulated trading environment even need a broker if you could just have a price feed? Why is that a necessity?
So some firms can do that as well. So like a firm could technically get the whole infrastructure, so the bridge, the feeds, pay all of those suppliers, have it and offer it. That's fine. Like even as Trade Locker, that would be fine for us. So you set up your prop tomorrow, you go and you get all of those contracts, and then you take a Trade Locker license, and we'll work. We have every bridge, we have every LP, everything's connected. It's all done. They just didn't do it from the beginning because they were obviously moving fast, and that was what one person did it. So then that was the formula. Then when something happens like that, a big, axe through the whole business model, effects, everybody scrambled and went different ways. And we saw 3 or 4 different new structures, simulated this, take that platform, take this platform, take a cracked version of Medicoats. Everybody did different things. Now, eventually, what will happen is the person that has the resources, the capital to build something will survive, because all of those other things will drop. Because if you have a cracked version of Medicoats, it's going to get caught. It's going to close. If you have a product that isn't really suited for the industry, that's going to go down. If you're spending all your money on making software right now instead of figuring out how to get your traders paid out, you're going to close. And then there'll be a few people left. We should be one of them. And we will have an amazing trading product, and we'll have obviously a great prop.
So when that scrambling period happened and the firms didn't know where to go and the users were down, obviously the user experience is when we all enter the trading space, trading in Metaquotes is like a synonymous thing. The day you start trading, you download Metaquotes. So now it became like it's like if you bought iPhone your whole life and now you buy an Android, it's weird. It's a change. And there was a resistance by a lot of people, and like myself, that I'm not really on prop firms, I just stick with Metaquotes. But those of them that are only on prop firms, they have to migrate with whatever the firm is doing. So it landed on a few C Trader and this and that. Why did you feel the need to build your own when there is already equivalent solutions around that maybe not the best, but they are a solution?
Just what we've done in the different industries. Like if you were interested in using crypto for your business and you saw our crypto platform, you'd be like, wow, this is just so easy. I can integrate it so easy. Let's say I'm an individual in a business, I can create and generate invoices and have crypto, in my company. We know how to solve problems. This is a huge one. But we've just done it so many times. We've literally had our backs to the wall so many times that we knew that we could do this.
Okay. And what is your mission statement with Trade Locker? What are you trying to do different apart from let's just remake Metaquotes?
Okay. Well, realistically, when we sat down, that wasn't, let's say, our mission is to remake something. We needed a trading platform to give to companies that were working with us so they had their traders have access to the market.
Oh, it's a direct need, actually.
Yeah, direct need. Okay. So minimum viable product in a way. What do they need today? They needed access, they need charts, they need all of the functions, the minimum set of functions. And that was our starting point, which was, in theory, what Metaquotes had for 15 years. That was our starting point. We achieved that in a very short period of time. But now, every next thing, and I'll let Luca do a lot more on Trade Locker, but it's just next gen. What are people doing now? They're streaming. Okay, should we do something in streaming with Trade Locker? Do people want a way to earn money through Trade Locker, not as a trader, but as an affiliate? Is there a pro version? Should we create certain products that have, you have to pay to get? Like for example, when we built the risk management tool, that typically is a paid feature. Everywhere you go, that's a paid feature. We said that needs to be in the order panel. If we could bring risk management to the masses and not charge for it. Traffic.
Excellent. Now, Luca, let's bring yourself into the conversation. So you are the growth man behind Trade Locker, if I'm correct in saying so. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, before we talk into exactly what you're doing right now, how did this collaboration begin between yourself?
So we were very similar.
Go into detail.
I was always an entrepreneur. grew up in Croatia, had an amazing mother who was also entrepreneur, learned a lot from her, and also in hospitality. I also have a brother, we work together, and probably grew or helped growing over 30 businesses, 40 businesses in different industries.
Gosh.
Just a few were mine. I didn't have a lot of time to explore everything I wanted, but whenever I went in, figured it out, and then I said, no, next thing. And it was always interesting until it worked. And then I was like, well, let's go do the next thing. It's not big enough, or something was, something I didn't like. And then during COVID, everything dropped. I had a couple of businesses in hospitality, like a travel agency, some apartments, software in travel industry, and some real estate database, like the database of all the property in my country. Like this very fast forward, okay, to the main moment. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I was living in Malta. I heard about Owen. I heard about Jason, his brother. I heard a few good things, but Owen was not on social media back then. You couldn't know a lot. And I was just meeting a lot of people back then, and I thought, it just went through, we didn't meet back then. And I heard about them about a couple of years later, 2-3 years later. And I was like, why am I here? Why do I keep hearing about
I had the same feeling. Everyone can know Owen.
But back then, there was no social media.
Yes.
You couldn't see who is Owen. And I said, okay, let's arrange a meeting. And I think it was somewhere in May. And it was, I think, the last day. So I had a flight the next day. And I called my friend and told, hey, can you arrange the meeting? Let's do it, And she created a WhatsApp group, and we were chatting. At that time, they had the family in the hotel. They were celebrating some family victories. Yeah. And we just sat down, half an hour, drank some beer, and made a deal, the first thing.
And we didn't know what we were going to make.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. You just liked each other's energy. And
We knew that from our side, we wanted to work with people who can build things. And from their side, they are people who have built many things. And all of those things had success. And that's what we agreed on. We agreed that we have ideas, you have ability to create teams, which is very hard to do. And they had, obviously their brotherhood, we have our brotherhood, but they had a pack of people that were well gelled as developers and researchers and designers. And we said, okay, fine. If we agree, let's sit down, make a company together, which we do have, which is called Mocha Labs. And in that, we decide what we build. And the first thing was a casino.
Yeah, just a simple casino. It's just nice one simple game. Yeah, but when you build, it's when you have built so many things, it's the same concept. So we had an idea. Let's create whatever it was called, MVP factor or something like that. It's just a random thing. We didn't know about what it's gonna be called. What is the next day gonna look like? We just let's do something and see where it goes.
And because we built that team, we were able to pivot 1 year later
to Trade Locker. Yeah, it's important because the reason I said at the beginning how everything aligned is because it's not a case of I could have had the idea of Metzco is done, let's build something, but I don't have the team, infrastructure, experience, all of these things. I'm sure a lot of people had the idea, but you had the idea plus the ability to execute, which is what counts.
A few times in our career, we've had timing, resources, and luck all at the same time, probably 3 times. And if you were to look at those 3 times, you would see then obviously the personal growth and the economic growth and the wealth and everything increase each time that's happened.
And just for the entrepreneurs out there, when they said, hey, we need a trading platform, I was like, okay, but I didn't fully see what they see because they're in the industry for so many years.
You're not really a trader or in the trading space when you're building?
I always loved trading, but it was never like short-term Forex stuff. It was always something else. And I knew the terminology, understood how it works and everything, but I never had time or it never was my focus. I always loved building businesses, not trading necessarily. Okay. But then when they said we need a trading platform, it's like, okay, but what do you see what we don't? And slowly it just...
Where we really started working together, because before that, Luca was focused on CryptoPanic, which is our crypto news aggregator. And growing that, and that's going very well. But where we started to work on is the development, the sales of the business, the marketing of the business. So getting users in, and then getting brokers in, getting props in, getting people who want TradeLocker in.
The customer base.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where the two of us literally have spent the last year shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay, and overlooking the macro, let's speak to an individual on my perspective. I'm a trader. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've built such a relationship with MetaQuotes, and I'm familiar with it. I'm comfortable with it. I'm totally aware it's not the best. Even just the jump from MT4 to MT5, the ability to move the stop loss, simple things. I still don't use MT5. I just like MT4. It's what I'm used to and comfortable to. But what I do appreciate and understand is the biggest companies like MetaQuotes, even an FTMO, they don't really innovate. They don't really care to, because they have the market dominance, and they're like, well, what's the point if we already got all of this? And it takes young guys, entrepreneurial guys, risk takers to just build, innovate, and do something different, which is totally what you guys are doing. So for someone like me who's used to MT4, and I know it's not better, whatever, but I'm used to it. If I was to migrate over to a TradeLocker and became my new trading home, what would pull me towards your direction?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, first, if you look at yourself, you know the best. Are you profitable? Which features do you like? Which features are you using? What do you actually need? And then...
Okay, so to actually answer that, it's a place to execute a trade. That's all I really see it as. My analysis elsewhere. Now that for me is a bit clunky sometimes, because it's not a direct feed. So I have to then memorize the number very quickly, entry and stop loss, and type it in and hopefully, and then check it. That manual fluff, which can be on desktop, be a bit automated. But I'm using it as a place to execute trades and manage my positions, is essentially what it is. Now I've understood you've made that seamless with TradeLocker. So that's a major advantage. What else have you got cooking up?
Good. So you know you're profitable, where do the analysis. You can do the analysis on TradeLocker, but then you need to execute trades. How easy is it to execute trades on your platform right now, and what do you actually need? So that's how we built also TradeLocker. We were looking at what do people actually use, and in the beginning it was just the traders that we knew from the previous businesses that were giving us advice and from the experience, and then we've built a large community now. I think it's over 40,000 people who are telling us daily, this is what is wrong, or this is how it should be, or
that's
this.
How the best business are built, when the customer tells you do this, do that.
And that's the best proof why TradeLocker is good. It's not us saying it, but it's people who are spending their time in the Discord, caring about the product, seeing that we actually deliver, seeing our faces. We're not hiding anywhere. We answer the messages in support. We get on a call. Like today, we had 2 calls which were not planned. Like somebody messages us, we get on a call and we talk about it. We see what is that they need. What can we do about it? How can we help them? And that's what makes TradeLocker special. It's not us saying it's the best, but people who use it, who take their time, you see that they care. So there must be something there, right?
So well, as from my perspective, when I'm trading, I'm using TradingView for the analysis, MetaQuotes for the execution, and then I'm using TradeZeller for the tracking and back end of performance. Is TradeLocker merging all of that into one home, one hub?
Yeah, you got TradingView charts. You got a nice order panel where you can just say how much you want to risk. So the order size will always adapt depending on how much you want to risk. You can move the stop loss wherever you want. And
is that TradingView with the widgets on top, or is it I'm on TradeLocker with TradingView inside it?
Yeah, TradingView is the frame. The frame. So the charting, the pricing, the feed, all of that is from the bridge provider, the LP of that brand. But that frame is every tool that you have without, for example, the different tabs, so do different assets, that's not there, and that's proprietary for them. It's unique selling point, but we're working on it. But that is what that is. And then TradeLocker is everything else around it, like is TradeLocker.
Yeah, when we were integrating trading, we thought, what's the best way to do it? And right now we have the frame. And the most important thing for us was that we can build on top of the frame. So we're flexible. We can innovate. We can do something different, better, and think on our own. We don't like, when you build a product, the worst thing you can do is follow what somebody else is doing.
For sure. What are you guys trying to achieve with TradeLocker? Like, what is the mission statement? What is the goals you have, long-term and short-term?
Well, we want to build a huge company. We want a unicorn status in this company. And I think we're going to get there. We have a lot of traders right now. We have a lot of brands onboarded. All of these companies that are with us now, like we always thank them for being early adopters and for staying with us through this time, because obviously it's new, it's fresh. We're innovating, we're moving things. We're sometimes we break it and then we fix it. That's part of making new company. But we want a unicorn. We want a $1 billion valuation.
Yeah, when we started, we said, build the next gen trading platform with us. So
the industry's due an update,
and we're always building. We won't stop building. Our goal is to continue building, and the reason why I say with us, because traders are literally building with us. We want to continue doing what we're doing, but at scale. In the beginning, we had like 100 traders in the community. Now we have 40,000. There were over 400,000 people trading on TradeLocker. Now there's active more than 200,000 every month, and it's growing. It's almost doubling every month.
Yeah.
And we just want to continue doing it at scale.
So this MetaQuotes blackout was only a few months back. So is that when everything is birthed to 40,000 users, or was this something in the works for a while?
We know a lot of people, and anybody that we know are willing to take our product range. It's been like that since we started making things, because they know the foundation, they know who's behind it, they know what we're capable of. So we had quite a lot of users and we had potential. But obviously something happening can sort of speed that up a bit. So yes, that definitely gave us a push. But right now we have let's say an onboarding queue that, like, if we were to list those names out, you'd be like, holy shit.
So right now, because I've heard about TradeLocker from, I don't even know how I know about it, but I heard it before I knew you guys. But it was never an ad. It was never a YouTube channel. It was, how did these 40,000 people find you and like you and want to actually be part of it?
Yeah, when we started, we thought, what's the best way to promote something that's, in the beginning, it was very boring. Because look at the platform. It's just a piece of technology. How do you promote that? Why would a trader care? So you cannot, like, from the marketing perspective, you cannot target a broker or a prop firm, because that's our main.
Usually marketing works when you're solving a pain point, and the pain point was the migration issue. So I guess the timing made it.
We didn't know that in the beginning how that will pan out.
Okay.
We were just developing TradeLocker for ourselves. Like, what do we want? We didn't know this whole thing would happen. We just were our own.
So TradeLocker was in the pipeline pre-MetaQuotes blackout.
Year and a half nearly before.
Okay, I've misunderstood the timeline. Okay.
No, so what happened was someone else.
So the mission statement to take on MetaQuotes was a decision prior to this blessing for you guys.
It's not even now. Yeah, we're developing something that we want, that we like.
We,
separate product.
Me, my brother, and my cousin, wanted this because we had customers. At one point, we had 100 customers that
for your prop and associated props, and
And if something happened to the incumbent supplier, there was no alternative other than other incumbent suppliers. So how can you build a whole ecosystem? How can you build a business, a potentially sellable business, with such a need, a dependency on someone like that?
That's very true. When it comes to the word that you said, you want a unicorn and $1 billion valuation, what do you need to achieve to get that?
You need users, you need clients, and you need a lot of them.
And
so we need traders.
What is the money trail, though? Because as a user, I'm not paying to be on TradeLocker.
So a prop will pay for your account. So when you buy a prop account, that's built into their price. When you open up a trading account, like on NextTrade, it's built into the price. So they will give you the live account, they will give you the demo account, and then we as TradeLocker bill NextTrade per account. So it's very, very simple. We have two prices for everybody out there. It's no secret. Go to TradeLocker. Say you want a prop, and we'll give you the price range. Say you want a broker, we'll give you the price.
Okay.
Very, very simple. It's
a licensing listing fee from the prop or broker, but to the user, it's a free experience.
It's a free experience.
Okay. And the broker that I'm working with, I don't really want to say it, but the brokers that people tend to work with, or the prop firms that people tend to work with, are they migrating towards you? Or are you inviting them? How is that relationship building process?
So like just on my website, Owen.com, I get maybe 40 to 50 leads a week. On TradeLocker, it's probably 200 plus a week.
Of firms, brokers and prop firms.
So if you look at the brokerage space, there's over 2,500 brokers, onshore, offshore, regulated, unregulated, in the ecosystem. Not a lot of people know that. That's a lot of business out there. Same in the prop space, not as huge, but I would say it's definitely 200 plus. that are out there. There's names that we get that we never heard of, and they have 20,000 people on their account. It's like, what? Where are you from? How is this possible?
We just listed all the proper names we got.
Yeah.
Like, there'll be
or
every combination of 2 words.
we don't need to look for customers now anymore. Everybody's looking for us because as a brand, you know, even the biggest well-established brokers out there, and I'm not going to say props because it's not old enough yet, but you could say it as well. Let's say to FTMO or whatever, they're having 3 or 4 platforms now, you know, and they're making their own as well. And I think it's something that everybody should have done at that level years ago, because like we literally, it's, if you look at every other industry and just go back to hospitality, you look at the counter, there's different, you know, soft drinks, there's different waters, there's like, you know, there's choice always. But for some reason in the trading space, we just sat there like idiots with just one product.
And as we know, like, a monopoly is no good for not good for the consumer, not good for innovation. So these kind of things are definitely healthy. Now I'm starting to understand your customer base is through proxy, but you're not actually targeting the end user. You're targeting the middleman, which is the prop firm or the brokerage, and they bring their customer base.
Right. Yeah, but when the community structure, like, so Luca's like, you know, hidden gem that a skill that he has is creating this growth engine for a community. And those people that joined because you were in there and I was in there, they wanted to be in there with us. That brought, let's say, 200 people. And then each of those persons had a brand that they were going to. So we just said to them quickly, go to your broker, hit up support and say, get TradeLocker. So we asked 20, 30,000 people to go to their brands and say, get TradeLocker. And then the owners eventually got told, our users want TradeLocker.
So that's what you mean by growth hacking.
Yeah.
I see.
The philosophy is always what's one thing that solves everything else. Like, it's not about how many things, how efficient you are, but how effective you are. Because many people just do, you know, this keywords, omnipresence and everything, which is bullshit if you're just starting out. It doesn't make sense. You didn't even know what people want. And you cannot be everywhere. So we just counted on people solving all of our problems, basically. Like, that's
because you're always reactionary to what the consumer wants and your ears are on the ground. What are the things that consumers are really asking for that is not existing in the preceding providers?
Most people don't see that far. Like, what is the future? But there are a few individuals that you talk to and they really can connect different industries together. And that's, I think, where the innovation comes. You see what's going on in, I don't know, we're in iGaming, casinos. You see what's going on there. That's interesting because there's a lot of money there. Wherever there's a lot of money is where innovation comes from, because they need to compete. There's innovation happening. You know, most advanced marketing is, I think, in casinos as well.
We as the owners of the company, and not as traders, but as individuals that look at different industries, we see things like, look what streaming did for these casinos. You know, obviously that's huge in trading as well, but it's all happening on YouTube. It's all happening on these third-party apps. How could that be involved in a platform? How could that make it more sticky for not just traders, but for community leaders? How could someone with a huge education network, there's many out there, utilize TradeLocker to develop their community and work with the brand directly through a platform and have everything baked into one? How is that possible? That's one of our huge projects that we're trying to achieve.
So you're building a community element alongside a platform.
We think from the ground up. Traders. On top of traders is usually an affiliate or an industry or community leader. On top of that then is they are bringing them to a broker. So we want to solve along the value chain so that if we can tell a prop or a broker, hey, if you have this for your traders, you will also have these advantages for your affiliates. If you manage and control your affiliates inside your trading platform, it's not so easy for them to move to another one and another one and another one. If we can have solutions all the way up to the broker who is going to be the most profitable, let's not forget, we will be most interesting to a lot of people along the way.
If you look at what just Owen says, if you look at the value chain, what traders want is is what everybody needs to get. And because traders control the industry. If trader doesn't want this, you can do whatever you want, but then you'll fail. So a trader is the future affiliate. A trader is a future prop firm. That's what I love, what Owen said today at one call. Like a future business owner is a trader. A future broker owner is a trader. So it all comes from there. When we were starting marketing, the growth engine, we're thinking, what solves everything? Like, what's one thing that solves everything? We said, what if 100,000 traders go to a broker and tell them they want Trade Locker? Does the broker have any chance to say no?
No.
They don't. And
So
that's
your goal is to make an irresistible offer with every solution you could possibly imagine for prop firms, brokers, and the end user.
Yeah.
Okay. And this development timeline has already been a year and a half in development. Is it just an ongoing, forever going process, or is there a finished product eventually?
I don't think any product should ever say I'm done. And that is when, like, for example, the incumbent and stuff like that, they had nothing to lose. You know, so that's why there was no innovation, there was no development. Yeah, okay, cool. There was new things every now and then, but like, you know, if you look at a lot of that tool, it's not used. You know, there's so many things that just aren't used inside those tools. So we do something simpler. We just put out, let's say we put out one feature, then people in our comments say, I want the trailing stop loss. We're able to say, yeah, we know, because we have this voting structure. We have this in our backlog. We literally get given things to do, build, put into our backlog, and we just start working through them. We will not stop creating. It will always change.
What does that development process look like in terms of comments in a Discord to actually on your to-do list? What is that structure that you mentioned, voting and so forth? How does that actually work?
Yeah, Lucas more.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we started, we said, let's do what nobody does, which is like, when someone says they want something, let's not just do it, but let's message them, tell them we did it, and then ask them for the next thing. So we documented everything. Like, imagine someone says something, we document the link to that comment, their name in Discord, or whatever it was. It could be on Instagram. And we had this like database of every single thing that someone says positively about us, negatively about us, feature suggestion. We document everything. So in the beginning, which was the most important part, because you're just starting out and you're creating this flywheel, you want people to notice, which is invisible. You cannot see that immediately, but it's happening. You just see the name on Discord, but that's a human being. So when you write down in the document, hey, this guy said they want, I don't know, whatever, on-chart trading, trailing stop loss. And that repeats. Like, when you consciously answer these messages and you write them down, it's like writing a journal. Like
you become aware.
Consciously, you write this so many times, and you're like, fuck, we got to do this.
In the background, though, okay, trading stop loss is great, but you can't have trading stop loss without on-chart trading.
Yes.
You can't have on-chart trading without an advanced order panel. Yeah. You can't have risk management without the order panel having at least, you know, these manual entries. So we took all of that on board. We understood that we wanted an order panel that you could set your stop loss, your take profit, but we definitely wanted this risk calculator. One of the biggest things I've seen in the broker space always, and in the website space, because I built many websites for Forex brokers, can you give me a widget that's a lock calculator? Can you give me this? Can you give me that? And I made it over and over and over again. And we were like, let's put that inside this order panel. And but in order to have that checkbox there, which everybody thinks it's just a checkbox, risk, in order to do that, we had to build so many other things. So when someone said, I want the risk calculator built in, we had to spend months and millions to do that.
This is, I don't have any experience in coding or tech, but when I spent a lot of time with Umar Ashraf of TradeZella, and when he talks to me about building tech, he's like, it's not as simple as in just bolt on a feature.
It's like building blocks,
Yeah, he's like, the architecture and the framework, he was like, I forgot the example he gave, but it was like, if I didn't build this infrastructure, just to add in day and night mode, the dark and light, is because I thought about it a year ago that I could very quickly change it. But if I wanted to do it retrospectively, it's like, I would have to start from the beginning. I was like, that doesn't make sense to me, but it's crazy.
Imagine like a book, Game of Thrones, for example, and you have all these characters and they have all their personalities and they sometimes meet each other and then they go away and then meet again. And now imagine that's a software. And now you have to change how they met or whatever, that some other character comes in the middle of the book. And now you have to check all the book way from the book.
Backstory,
the first time that this character appeared to introduce him in a different way, see how that affects this other character, and then make sure that everything goes well.
So with so many innovations and product feature releases and ideas coming in, how do you even factor that in? That it's not just bolting ideas on top, it's infrastructure and the foundations.
A lot of the things that do come in are in some way they're kind of obvious as well. We might have thought of it yet, but it's like a natural progression. So even as our users start using it, they start evolving their thought process as well. And they're like, oh, this could be cool. I saw this somewhere. And we probably having the same idea. Oh yeah, this would be cool as well. And then we get all of this attention around the same idea. And I think it's just when you do something and you achieve what you've been asked to do, the next thing almost is obvious. It presents itself, you know? Just to go back to, you know, what Umar said as well, I think people should learn two things in school: financial literacy and something to do with coding. I'm not an expert coder. I've done it. I've messed around with WordPress and websites and all of this stuff. But if you just could learn a little bit in school or in college or in even when you're in small school, I think your thought process when you're older, and when you say, okay, I want a business, I want a website, I want a piece of software, you'll give a lot more respect to people like us and people like him, because you'll know what they have to think of so many things in order to achieve that piece of technology. So those two things should be learned early.
When I see guys like yourself, young guys, innovating, working hard, achieving a lot.
How old do you think I am?
I keep saying young. I'm assuming you're young, like maybe 30, 31?
35.
Okay, I'm not as young as I thought, but either way, bro, you're young. You got another 20, 30 years in business ahead of you. It's a lot of time to conquer. So I'll still use the word young because you definitely are. It's exciting. It makes me excited to see guys innovating and hustling and pushing forward. So I want to give you guys both the opportunity to speak to potential future users of TradeLocker that are maybe just hearing about it today or have heard about it but haven't migrated over. Why are you different? What do you want to give them? And why do you think you will be the unicorn company?
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to go first, Ola?
Sure. Which camera?
That one, I think.
All right. So I would say, come join our Discord, talk to traders that are using TradeLocker, come meet us, message us, ask us for the reason to stay, the reason to try TradeLocker, and then try it out. Take the time to do it. We believe it's future because we always build long-term. We're always there for you, and we're not going to stop. So TradeLocker, this is the worst TradeLocker is, or today is the worst that TradeLocker will ever be.
Yeah. I would say, okay, you're used to something, that's fine. Stay there if you're used to it, stay there if you're comfortable, stay there if it's working for you. But it's always good to understand what else is out there. If you don't open up your mind and you don't experience other things, you can never grow. So I would say go find a brand, Google it, TradeLocker Broker, TradeLocker Prop, and take a free trial or take a demo and just try. If you're doing a trade Euro USD over here, just do it on demo over there. Give it a go and feel it. Open your mind, expand your horizons, and you'll learn.
There we go. Beautiful, gentlemen. Thank you very much for both of your time. And as I said, it gets me excited. I'm not involved in this. I'm not affiliated in any way, but it gets me excited to see people doing big things in an industry I'm passionate about. Yeah, so I wish you both very well. And I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of you in the future.
Yeah, when we have that unicorn status, invite us back to celebrate.
There we go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.